Say it. Sega!
Hey, welcome to Bonus Round. It's another bonus round.
Episode 2. Here we go.
We don't know when this will be out, but when it's out, it'll be fucking interesting.
Yeah, it'll be. You guys voted. We didn't have to RNG this one.
No, we truly are a podcast of the people. 6 people who voted.
That's all you need, baby.
But between the proposed discussion prompts that I put up on our Twitter, the one that won out by 55%.
Yeah.
Was
unless it changed.
No, I don't think it did. Was if by 50% exactly. Games we like from genres we don't. Actually, this is not so hard for me because I'm a very picky gamer, and I have like 3 particular genres of game that I try to focus on, and anything outside of that is pretty much a genre I don't like.
It's garbage, and I hate it.
You kind of had to think about it. Would you want to go first, or should I just fire it off?
No, I'll let you take it off. I'll add if I find anything, and it might inspire me a little bit to hear your hot takes.
Okay, so a genre that I really do not like, and maybe big surprise coming from somebody who clearly very much kind of admonishes narrative and kind of wants that to be the most important thing above all else in any media experience. I really do not like first-person shooters.
Oh god, I forgot about those, actually. I hate them so much, I forgot they exist.
I fucking hate first-person shooters. Mm-hmm. I really do not enjoy playing them. I do not have a good time. Not only is it just because I am generally not very good at them, which is just like, of course, there's some element of me that has to dislike it because I do not think I'm good at them. Like, I've never been able, especially once you get to, like, first-person shooters into, like, the fucking, GameCube, Xbox, PS2 era and onwards.
When it started being mirrors of the same game all the time.
Not only that, but when every button on the fucking controller does, like, 3 different things. And having to wrap my head around, strafing and how to control my character with 2 analog sticks. It's just like, it's shit that I was never great at to begin with. Mm-hmm. That is made all the more difficult by the fact that you have to aim, which, when it comes to real life shooting with a gun or with a bow and arrow, I am remarkably good. When that comes to being like a totally digital experience, like, fuck that shit. I'm not good at it at all.
I can't do it.
My in-game ability to fucking aim at shit is not great unless I can, like, snipe. Which often in these games you're kind of thrown into firefights. I do not do well in those. So, yeah, I think those are some pretty clear reasons to dislike a genre, at least for me. Also, just the fact that not a lot of FPS games have great narratives. And that's not to say that I expect them to, or that I'd even want them to. It's just, like, all the less reason for me to be interested in playing them. The mechanics all strike me as similar. Whoa.
my phone went off. I forgot to put it on silent. Oh, no.
Oh, well. Yeah, like, as much as everything in the genre is kind of similar, I know that there are some unique FPS games out there, and that's one of the ones I want to talk about. So, I do not like first-person shooters, but when I saw this game sitting on the shelf at ANC Games for $9...
Oh, you're doing it!
Yeah, mint in the fucking box with a manual and a completely pristine disc, I said, I'm gonna buy this shit. I'm talking about Geist. Geist is a really fucking interesting game. It's a first-person shooter that I believe is a first-party Nintendo title. Which is nuts to me. It was developed by N-Space. And it's the second only game for the GameCube to have been rated M. The first one was Eternal Darkness. But the 2 companies worked very closely on Geist, and it is considered a franchise owned by Nintendo in the same way that, like Metroid Prime is, even though it's completely developed out of house.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a second-party game. But what's really, really fucking interesting about this first-person shooter is that it doesn't really focus too heavily on shooting. Now, shooting is important. It controls like a first-person shooter, but you are not playing Gunman. You are playing a man who has been turned into an energy ghost. So you're like you're like a soul traveling around these different facilities, and you have to possess humans, animals, inanimate objects, a whole bunch of shit, and manipulate the environment and your adversaries through your ability to possess shit. So, you've heard of Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, like the DS game where you possess shit?
It rings a bell.
So that's a game that I really like. This is essentially Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, the mechanics of it, but it was made before that, and instead of being like a side-scrolling kind of point-and-click sort of thing, it controls like an FPS.
Yeah, but I had this game at my dad's, actually. Never got too far into it because I was never really at my dad's too long, but it had some very fun mechanics. It had... there's stuff in that game, you know?
Yeah.
And
it
goes relatively unnoticed, I feel. Besides,
it's amazing.
It's a cult classic for sure.
It absolutely is. And not only is it just kind of a different and fun sort of game, but it's also kind of like, it blends a bunch of different genres, like apart from just the first-person shooting aspects, it's got adventure game stuff, it's very narrative-focused.
Yeah, I find if you're going to make a first-person shooter, especially in the year that this came out, really, where it was a very saturated market, narrative is very important because there's only so much cool shit you can do in the gameplay.
Exactly. So it's a very, 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 very unconventional entry into this genre. And, I mean, not only is that great, the multiplayer is some of the best on the GameCube. You can do a bunch of different modes. There's like a possession deathmatch where it's just a deathmatch mode. You can have this capture the flag one called Capture the Host. And there's just a hunt mode where you fucking hunt each other down. But the ghost aspect of the game kind of makes the multiplayer totally unique from a lot of other FPS multiplayers. Like, this isn't Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer experience at all. The stages are okay. They're nothing amazing, but the actual levels within the game, like the stages for multiplayer, I should say, like the arenas, but the actual stages within the game are full of puzzles that are really clever. They require you to think about how to most effectively use your ability to possess shit. And the first-person perspective genuinely lends to the experience by making it a lot more thrilling. So it's a really, really cool first-person shooter, and it's one that I don't really think, quite honestly, that I would have ever even noticed or made any effort to purchase had I not heard like really good things about it. Like, I would never actively buy an FPS, but the fact that
that's it. When
just
you have
the premise,
it's like, hey, you fucking check this. You definitely want to check this out.
Like, the premise alone was enough for me, and I thought it was great, so I bought it, and I haven't regretted it. It's been a really fun game to play. I think I've even gotten a little better at playing FPSs with it, although I do have to say that the GameCube controller kind of makes it really, really easy and effortless to play games with the FPS button layout.
I think the GameCube controller is one of the best controllers Nintendo has ever made.
I think it's... You know what? As somebody who's really enjoying like the Switch Pro controller, I'd say that and the GameCube controller are tied in terms of just how good those pieces of hardware are. They're fantastic. So yeah, fucking Geist is super good, and I really don't like FPS games, and I don't enjoy playing them, but Geist seems to be a very notable exception to that rule. So Geist kicks ass. I really, really like it. And you know, if you like Metroid Prime, you'll like
there
Geist.
You go. I was just about to make that parallel.
Yeah, and I like Metroid Prime, but I never counted those as FPS games. They're more just like adventure games.
They're like, I think you could shove them in there, but
you probably
they are more...
you probably could with some of the later ones. But I felt like the first game especially is so exploration heavy that it feels more like an adventure game. And the second one as well. Not so much the third one, which is very linear, and that one feels a little more like an FPS.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't even like Corruption. I think it's kind of a bad game. So, yeah, like, the rest of that stuff's pretty great. But yeah, it's like a very unconventional first-person shooter. I highly recommend it. It's extremely cheap and easy to find. Many copies of it. So yeah, if you can get yourself a copy of Geist,
get on that shit.
Break that shit out. It's awesome. So what about you, Ben?
I just thought of one.
Mm-hmm.
And it is puzzle games.
Oh,
it's a genre I fucking hate.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like, most of it comes from me just being dumb and bad at puzzle games. Most of the time I brute force my way through most puzzles that are in video games, but games that are just straight up like, no, all you're doing is solving puzzles in this game.
Yeah.
I fucking avoid like the plague because I don't need that negative feeling in my life. But the game that breaks that for me is The Witness, by Jonathan Blow.
Oh, The Witness. Yes. Which is, I mean, it's about as much of a puzzle game as like Myst is, but I'd say I'd pretty much consider Myst a full-fledged puzzle game with like a navigatable world in between the puzzles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the only thing you're doing in this game is solving puzzles in
exactly.
a perfect, beautiful island that you have no idea how you got there for.
The primary purpose of the narrative is to justify you solving puzzles.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like it's not even like Professor Layton, where
no.
where like that's like a point and click with a lot of puzzle focus.
Yeah.
It's like a straight up puzzle game with like a mystery narrative.
I made a puzzle game and then I built a narrative around it instead of like I built this narrative and then I threw puzzles at it.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
But yeah, that game sucked me in. I have yet to beat it because it's still a puzzle game. So like sometimes I'm like, okay, fuck. I'm pretty deep in though. And it is visually stunning, and you can just like. That's one of the first things you notice. But the way that it teaches you how the puzzles kind of work is really satisfying, and like kind of is what kept me going with it, because just like the satisfaction of like, oh, this is what it wants, as opposed to usually me just like brute forcing all the time until I get it. I like the soft ease into the harder puzzles that this one has, as opposed to other puzzle games that sometimes just toss you in, and it's like, oh, did you miss the thing back there? That's you got to go back now. And this game also has that, but I don't know. It does it really good. I liked it. It still makes me fucking angry though.
Oh yeah, some of those puzzles are fucking infuriating.
The late game puzzles are fucking just aggravating.
Yeah, they're fucking nuts. Some of them, they really are.
I think, what was it? Wooly in Castle Super Beast put it a really funny way, where it's like you're basically in this perfect, like, utopian island that is beautiful, having anxiety attacks. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, that's fairly accurate.
That's the game.
Just enjoy freaking the fuck out.
Yeah.
And being really, really frustrated by hard puzzles.
Yeah. So that's the one for me. Jonathan Blow, you do good. You do good games.
I mean, that guy's made some fucking great shit.
Yeah.
He truly has. Now, I'm trying to think of a real good one, because there's a lot of genres of games that I don't enjoy, but I like puzzle games, so I can't say puzzle games.
Mm-hmm.
And I also don't want to ape your shit, because you had a pretty good answer, but I like some puzzle games. So I can't say I entirely dislike the genre.
Yeah, well, like, that's the thing. I like some puzzle games. The Witness is definitely the top one, but as a genre, if it's puzzle game, unless I get a strong recommend from a friend, I'm like, I don't care. Mm-hmm. That or if it looks really fucking cool.
Yeah.
But I haven't, well, like, this one looks really fucking cool, but, like, if there was, like, a weird, cyberpunk-y looking puzzle game, I'd be in, even if it was bad.
You'd probably like the Puzzle Quest games. Those are really good.
Oh yeah.
Puzzle Quest Challenge of the Warlords is a fantastic fantasy themed puzzle game. It's really, really good.
Mm.
They're kind of like Bejeweled-esque puzzles.
Okay, yeah,
but it's fine.
I fucking love Bejeweled puzzle type things.
Yeah, those are like you have these Magus Magus rocks, and you have to like line them up so that you get mana, and then you cast spells to battle your opponent. It's fucking cool.
They have an actually really good one on the mobile. It's an Adventure Time Puzzle Quest game.
I heard about that.
It's actually really good.
I was playing the Marvel Puzzle Quest on my partner's phone. That was fun.
Yeah,
and I like the original Puzzle Quests as well. Those are good. Oh, you know what's a genre that I actually really dislike?
What is it?
I'm really, really not into 3D fighting games.
Oh, yeah.
I'm fucking not. I do not like
2D fighting all the time.
I do not like 3D fighting games. I do not fucking like them. They're infuriating to me. And even if they're amazing games objectively, like Tekken, or some of the later Dead or Alive games that have like really
or
stellar controls.
King of Fighters. Or
the later.
Fighter? Wait, are those Virtual Fighters?
No, it's Virtua Fighter.
Yeah.
KOF is 2D, and I like those games a lot.
I get KOF and Virtua mixed up all the time.
Yeah. Now I really do not like 3D fighters. I find them stupid. I find the way that they try to blend the mechanics of like a 3D environment in with like a multiple moveset, it's disorienting. It can be clunky if it's done badly, which it usually is. And I've been like let down more than once at the prospect of playing a 3D fighter that sucked. However, there is one 3D fighter that has never, ever fucking let me down, that I am quite good at, that I have enjoyed being good at for quite a long time, but I only just recently purchased. And that is Soul Calibur 2.
Yes.
Now, I have never played another Soul Calibur game. I have played a game very similar to Soul Calibur that is bad, called Castlevania Judgment.
Oh no.
Which I own. Which might I also totally fucking completely own myself by saying it's the only Castlevania game I have ever purchased.
Oh god.
And that's not to say I haven't played other Castlevanias. I have played plenty of them. I've played plenty of Castlevanias, but I have never owned one except for fucking Castlevania Judgment.
To be fair, the Castlevania games are kind of hard to find.
They're difficult to acquire.
Yeah.
But some of my favorite ones in the series, I like Castlevania Portrait of Ruin. That's a great game. And I really, really like Order of Ecclesia. Those are both the DS titles. Those are great.
Yeah.
Dawn and Area of Sorrow for the Game Boy Advance and the GameCube and the DS. Those are great as well. Those later ones, not so good.
Yeesh.
So good.
I remember the first Castlevania game I ever played, because I was mildly sheltered as a child, was the one on the 64.
Ooh, no.
Yeah.
That's not good.
I love that game though. It like aesthetically, it was like
it's beautiful.
You know, skeletons and like he's got a big old whip and
there's also skeletons on motorcycles in that one.
Is there? I don't remember. I don't think I ever made it that far because
there's some fucking nuts shit in that game. And there's also the other one for. Anyway, 3D fighters.
Yeah.
Most of them
we're getting sidetracked.
Most of them, at least in my opinion, suck ass and are not fun to play. Fucking Soul Calibur 2, there is nothing more that I love than sitting down with a buddy, plugging that shit in,
picking Yoda and dominating,
having all the fucking characters unlocked already,
Yeah.
Which is dope as fuck. And just kicking back, and just playing some fucking Soul Calibur. I'm good with a few characters, but my favorite to play as is Talum. I love playing as Talum. I think she's cute. She has a good design. Her weapons are fucking awesome, and she's got a really killer moveset. But something that I really love to do is to completely randomize the battle. And I'm talking both people playing charade, both people picking random weapons, like being assigned random weapons and like a random character essentially,
yeah.
and then playing in a totally random arena. Just completely throwing the entire fight up to pure skill and chance.
Yeah. Just like,
really,
all right, here's your hand, deal with it.
Exactly. You have been dealt a hand, contend. And that shit is so fun. It's a great way to kind of to deal with a tiebreaker if you ever need to break a tie in terms of victories. And it's so fucking fun. Soul Calibur 2, great game. It's got a lot of personality, a great roster of characters. It's got a fucking Todd McFarlane ass fucking character in it called Necrid, who he designed, who's very stupid and has a very, very dumb abilities, which I love. And there's just some other completely dope-ass shit in that game. Like, there's like a really, really fun mini campaign mode, and all of like the generic enemies you fight in the campaign mode are unlockable to play as, which is kind of cute. Even though they're mostly just reskins of other characters, they didn't have to do that, but they did, and that's fucking dope. You can play as Link in it, and he is really fun to play as. He's got a great moveset, and he works very, very well in a 3D fighting game environment. It's just a really, really... I love playing those games. They're extremely fun. Not those games, but that game in particular. So yeah, in terms of like 3D fighters just kind of mostly being a kind of sucky genre of games in general, having something be as good as Soul Calibur 2, not only does it like make it stand out, but it really like it's such a playable game. It's so fun. I have fun every time I play it. It's nuts. So that shit is great. Soul Calibur 2 kicks ass.
Stan.
That shit is fucking good.
I have less, like, I don't like 3D fighters as much as 2D, but I wouldn't say that I hate them or that it is a factor even in me picking a game to play. So, but I totally get where it comes from, because the having like a designated block button kind of fucks me up, having to parry to the side. I think
there's like a
it's
trend.
very hard to wrap your head around.
There's like a trend in the genres I don't like so far of like, oh, Ryan's brain can't think in a 3D space.
Yeah,
like my brain doesn't function.
That's super
in
fair. A lot
space.
of people actually have that. It's
but like, to be fair, I don't even think that's actually the case, because I'm great at like 3D platformers and like exploring and adventuring games. But when you're put into like a situation where you have to like think. Like
quick thinking.
Like I said, like in a first-person shooter, when you run into a firefight, I can't fucking deal with that. Like when I was playing Breath of the Wild, for instance, I didn't rush into battles unless I scoped that shit out. I'm a very patient and I'm a careful kind of gamer. I like to play games that require a bit of a patient kind of attitude to play. With the exception of like Mega Man, which just kind of requires you to be on your toes. But even that, there's a lot of kind of pattern memorization and stuff that like can help you make your way through situations like that. And I don't so much have to think about being in a 3-dimensional environment. So my movements are not kind of all around the place, kind of going fucking willy-nilly.
Yeah.
But yes.
There's definitely a thing to it. Fuck. My throat is super scratchy today. I think I'm getting sick. It's getting warm out.
See, my very silly child brain has difficulty navigating 3-dimensional spaces.
It's okay. You'll get it one day, or not.
One day I will.
You can also just keep playing JRPGs.
I could.
Those are good games. Let's see. What was next on my list? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Got this one. So we talked about it a bit earlier. Roguelikes is a genre that I'm not much a fan of.
I'm 100% behind that.
Yeah, there are very good roguelikes that do it well and are fun, but the insta death, but the permadeath feature and restart from the beginning, which I know is brought back from like older video games before save states and stuff, and it's supposed to be fun, and it is fun. A lot of the time it can be good, but it's just, I feel like it's a genre that is still kind of an experimentation, so a lot of roguelikes coming out sometimes are a bit meh, and I don't like I don't like the amount of chance you need in a run of a roguelike game to succeed. It depends too much on skill, and I don't have many of that. No.
Yes.
It's not that. It's just some of the things are like aggravating, like I don't know. Well, I'll use the game that I'm going to talk about as an example, I guess. I want to talk about Enter the Gungeon. Fantastic roguelike.
This is a game that fucking kicks ass.
Yes, but still suffers from some roguelike problems that I have. Just some rooms, some runs, your room layout can be really bad, and it's kind of a genre that you need to play that game a lot to get good at it, kind of like a character action game. So it's kind of ironic that I don't really like roguelikes, but it's just the style of roguelike is strange to me. But Gungeon, I find, does it very well. It's got cute little characters. It's got a nice, funny, goofy story. It does a thing where after a certain amount of hours played, some bookcases just turn into enemies and will like grab you randomly. So it's got a bunch of cool little features like that. Sorry, my throat is fucking dying. Ooh.
You need a sippy of that water.
Yeah, I am sipping on that water, though. That's the weird part.
Oh, no!
I'm dying. GamePunx canceled. But yeah, Enter the Gungeon, very good. Big recommend. But yeah, again, the problem with roguelike being... I think my main problem with it most of the time is that it doesn't allow enough room for error. And it's kind of coming off of that Dark Souls tale, right?
It's unforgiving.
Yeah. It's very punishing. It's punishing as fuck.
And sometimes you just don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I get that shit.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that I don't not like roguelikes. It's I don't have the patience to
for them
be good at roguelikes.
I understand that.
Yeah. So that's my hot take on roguelikes.
I'm kind of in a similar space, actually.
It's not in a hate zone, but it's right on the fence of like, I like it, I like what it does, but it just, It has to be a really cool roguelike to like sink me. Like, Gungeon's perfect. It's fun. You got a little dodge roll. Like, the mechanics are very simple, but say something like Flint Hook. I don't know if you've played that.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, that one's kind of rough to me because I just can't wrap my head around the hook mechanic, which is the main thing of the game.
Yeah,
right? So like
it's
having to hook around the room and dodge bullets and focus on some enemies and just the randomness of the room sometimes got me out of Flint Hook, whereas Enter the Gungeon does it in such a way that I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm into this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I understand that. There's well, I don't know. I suppose I don't know if you could consider them roguelikes or not. What do people consider Hotline Miami and Hotline Miami 2?
I think they are roguelikes. Because you die, you start...
I don't know about that. I'm kind of curious. Because, let me see. Hotline Miami. Hotline Miami. It's a top-down shooter. That's what they call them. Top-down.
Okay,
shooter.
yeah. So it's not a roguelike, because roguelike is straight up just like start over, idiot.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? You know what would kind of be considered a roguelike, and it's a game that I really do enjoy. Toe Jam and Earl. Are you aware of Toe Jam and Earl? Do you know?
I am aware, but I never played.
So Toe Jam and Earl, the first game, is unquestionably a roguelike. I think it was even directly inspired by Rogue, like the game that roguelikes get their name from. It is a top-down dungeon crawler, essentially, where you have to kind of complete your ship. You have to find the pieces of your ship to escape the stage. The whole stage is procedurally generated, which is really interesting for its time.
Yeah,
but the
Genesis, that sounds crazy.
Yeah, and the game's fucking sense of personality and attitude is what sets it apart. It's not depicted as this, like, punishing or brutal fantasy setting or like a dark cyber. It's like, no, this is some goofy ass 90s shit.
Yeah.
And the new Toe Jam and Earl game that just came out, is like straight up a return to form.
Oh,
so
really?
You know, Toe Jam and Earl, a series I really respect. I enjoy the first game a lot. If we're going to talk about roguelikes, yeah, I guess I don't really like them that much, but I really do like fucking Toe Jam and Earl. And I cannot for the life of me find the name of that game, but the little roguelike that they featured in Night in the Woods, they did not have to put an entire other second fucking game into that already amazing game. But they did, and it's dope. It's a really fucking dope game. It's hard, and it is fun. And I like that one a lot. It was a great diversion when I wanted to kind of feel like May was not fucking doing shit one day. I'm like, I'm just going to make May play video games for half the day.
Yeah.
And like, I thought that,
that's a game I need to fucking play. Night in the Woods.
Remarkably well. Night in the Woods is fucking dope, Ben. You got to play that shit. It is, I think, without question, like, in terms of games that have come out in the last decade, my favorite game, hands down.
Shit.
Hands down. Without even a second fucking guess.
We haven't had a knife fight in a while.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I know about it.
But that's the whole attitude of the game.
Yeah, it's great.
But it's also extremely emotionally resonant. It made me cry on multiple fronts. And just the way in which it depicts struggling with mental illness is really...
It does it good.
Yeah, even if you are not somebody who has too much first-hand experience dealing with people who struggle with bipolar disorder, dissociative identity disorder, any sort of disorder that causes you to have dissociative or violent episodes, it's still extremely emotionally resonant. But just the fact that, like, I have experience there, that I know people like this, that I have been there myself.
Yeah, it hits closer to home than it would for
It's most. Unreal. And that's just the protagonist. That's not to say anything else about the rest of the cast. But I'm not going to turn this into the Night in the Woods podcast. Because we're going to do something like that at one point. If we ever want to talk about our favorite games, I have plenty to say about that one.
That's a game we could let's play, actually.
Yeah, that is. I'd love to play that game with somebody.
Yeah.
And I'd like to go and... even though you don't really romance people in that game, I would certainly like to just relive my experience all over again, doing everything possible to make sure that Beatrice fucks May. Because those characters are literally meant to be with one another. That's just...
Canon.
It's fucking canon. I don't care. Maybe real. Maybe gay real. Also, like, fucking May is already pan. Like, it's not like she wouldn't.
Yeah.
It's not like there isn't already, like, a totally
Love that
canon...
pan rep.
It's pan. Look, fucking get my fucking pots and pans up in here, fam.
Give me some
they
pots,
did it.
Some pans.
I felt so represented. It was dope.
This is my ace pan.
So that shit is fucking cool. And I really enjoy that game. But the roguelike that was featured in it, also just an extremely dope game. They did not need to include, but they did anyway, and that was extremely fucking cool of them.
Some game devs are getting it right, man. There's a lot of fun little things like that. Like Yacht Club just throwing free DLC at you if you had Shovel Knight since before the DLC came out.
Ooh, that's true.
Like Treasure Trove.
Yeah.
Like the full game, quote unquote, was just like an upgraded version of the original Shovel Knight, and it comes with like everything. So I had bought.
That's the one that I have. That's the edition that I bought.
Yeah, exactly.
I love. Shovel Knight is another game that I would rank among some of my favorite games. No, that's from a genre I really fucking enjoy. You know what? I have one last little entry, I guess. So already you can tell I kind of am not huge on shooters. Yep. I'm not super huge on games that take place within a 3D space. However, there is one 3D space shooter that I really like, and I do not like this genre. I do not like the other games in this series, but this game in particular I love, and that's Star Fox 64.
I was just about to say, you better say Star Fox.
Star Fox 64 is a fucking game I have played top to bottom. I have done every path. I've played it at every possible difficulty. I have fucking mastered that game. I love that fucking game. It is so good.
Did you ever play the original Star Fox on the Super Nintendo?
I hate that game.
It's so bad.
My
friend got it. Well, I guess I got Star Fox 2 because it's in the Super Nintendo Mini.
Yeah.
And I was like, oof.
How did y'all play this shit?
Oof.
And I get it. It's a noble effort was made.
Yeah, and like at the time, it would have been like, "Whoa, dude, 3D space, but it's not actually 3D." But then again, just going back to, it's one of those things that, like, at the time, holy fuck, how did they do this? How will video games get any better? And now it's like, wow, why did we even try this?
Why did we say that this was okay?
Why wasn't this on the Virtua Boy?
Funnily enough, there is a game on the Virtual Boy called Red Alarm.
Oh,
and it's like, what if Star Fox, but red? Everything is red. All of it is fucking red. Do you like no draw distances? Do you like the color red
and having a headache?
Yeah.
We got it. It's in the back.
Hey, you know that thing called draw distance? That thing that fucking helps you, determine, fucking distance in a 3D space? Yeah.
I'll throw that in the garbage can.
What if you were playing a 3D space shooter that didn't fucking have draw distance, and it was all red? It was all fucking red.
Yeah, can I get a red space shooter? Yeah, do you want some draw distance with that? I know, I said what I wanted. Get that draw distance shit away from me.
No, fuck that shit. But Star Fox 64 is dope. There's so many things in that fucking game that I love that I probably couldn't speak on all of them now. But just for example, there's
multiplayer is garbage.
I've never played it I've never played it multiplayer.
It's not great. It's very because most Star Fox levels are linear, really, and they just kind of give you a 3D space to go fight the other person, but you can just loop around each other. It's
yeah. That's like the dog. I like the dog fighting, but I wouldn't like to do that with somebody else.
Yeah, because it just gets into this I'm gonna fuck with you instead of trying to kill you space of you can't catch me, idiot.
I think the part of me that really responds well to Star Fox is the part of me that likes rail shooters.
Yeah.
Because I really love rail shooters, and I'm not bad at them either. Because they're a little more manageable for me, because they're linear for the most part. And Star Fox is a relatively linear game, although there's obviously the branching pathways feature of 64, which is just one of the many things that makes its replayability nuts. But there's certain stages in that game that I really love. I love the mission on Planet Macbeth, where you're in the Landmaster and you have to take out the train.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Landmaster missions, which is apparently actually a fairly controversial take. I really enjoy the Landmaster stuff. I don't really like the submarine level. That one kind of sucks. It's the one level that I wouldn't really like to do.
I don't remember the submarine level. I haven't played that game in so long.
It's like an underwater level where you have the submarine and... honey, no.
Yeah.
Every time I play it, I'm like, whack.
That's a thing a lot of early 3D games did, where it was like, here's the underwater level, and it was like, that made sense in 2D, but please stop.
Yeah. Oh, hey,
Please.
hey, Mario 64. Everybody's favorite fucking levels, right?
Dire Docks, let's go.
Dire Docks and fucking Jolly Roger Bay, the two that everybody loved to play.
So I went there first.
Said
I mean, you can't, but...
Said fucking nobody ever.
Yeah.
I do not think fucking anybody likes those stages. They are not good.
I think, like, unless you're trying to 100% it, you skip that stage, actually. Because you can, theoretically, if you just keep doing Bomb Bomb Hill.
Yeah. Oh, the only like, any relative sort of fucking water-related level in that game that's good is the Wet Dry World. That one's fun, because you have to raise and lower the water, and it changes the stage.
Yeah.
The only time I ever enjoyed water levels in like a 3D Mario game was in Mario Sunshine, and I think that's just because the game kind of forces you to like it.
You needed the water levels in that one.
Your brain is conditioned to enjoy those levels.
And let's not even start on the fucking water temple.
You know what?
Don't do it.
The water temple, good. Water temple, good. You know what isn't good? What isn't good is the N64
Heavy
controller.
Boots.
The N64 controller and the menu system of Ocarina of Time are both bad.
Heavy boots.
Bad.
Put
and
on.
They make that dungeon a fucking slog. But if you play it in like the 3DS remake, and you just like, then it's like, oh, this is a super dope, breezy, fun dungeon. And I really like how it is designed.
I got one last thing. It's not really a game genre, but it's a thing that video games do, and I think this will probably be the last take.
Sure.
Is fetch quests.
Yeah, you just like. Even hearing those words kind of makes me go fucking sicko mode.
Go here, get the thing, bring it back.
Like, no, fuck that. Fuck that shit.
There are some games that do fun fetch quests, and that's okay. But when your game is rife with fetch quests, and right now I have Dead Island in the brain thinking of that, where that game is 90% fucking fetch quests, and was supposed to be the best, most promising zombie video game ever.
It's like, really not.
Like, that's the thing. I love that game because I played it to completion with a friend, so I have fun memories, but at the same time, like, going back to play it and just like, alright, go get us some juice in this car and then bring it back. Alright, with this base is fucked. Go get us more juice and bring it to the new base. Because the other base was fucked, in case you forgot. Oh, also, we need medicine. Can you go get medicine at a different place, but bring it back here?
It's so bad.
Oh, go back to that place. There's a boss fight now.
So bad.
But come back here after. It's like, fuck, dude, okay.
So bad.
Yeah.
Oh. But
it's,
what is the good fetch quest?
It's not, on the spot, it's really hard to find one.
I like a fetch quest is only ever as good as the payoff.
Yeah.
And I think that if there is ever a game that
Skyrim does some good ones.
Yeah, if there is ever a kind of game that makes fetch quests like feasible to do, it's either an Elder Scrolls game or a Legend of Zelda game.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's no quests in like Majora's Mask, for instance, which is a game that lives and dies in your opinion by how many quests you complete.
Mm-hmm.
The fucking result of that massive fetch quest of getting the Fierce Deity Mask, is like the single fucking greatest reward they could have provided for what was already a fairly enjoyable fetch quest experience because there's so much narrative to unpack.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that game is so narratively heavy, and like all of those characters and stuff are so interesting, and you really get to care and give a shit about them.
Yeah.
But holy shit, are those like fucking rewards so worth it in that game? And I'd say the same thing for the Bigoron sword in
yes,
Ocarina of Time. That quest is super dope. I love the way that you have to travel forward and backwards in time. I mean, it's just a mechanic of the game, but I like how that makes use of that mechanic.
Yeah.
Very, very impressive. Very, very good. So that shit's also extremely fucking dope. Those are
Link
some
to
good
the
fetch
Past,
quests.
too. Kind of fetch quests.
Oh, there's some fucking fetch-ass quests in that game.
Okay, there we go. Zelda is a game that is based on fucking fetch quests.
Yeah, at least many of the optional quests are fetch quests, that's for sure.
Yeah. Except for that Wind Waker Triforce that they fixed in HD, but oof.
Yeah, that's bad. That's pretty fucking awful. The Triforce piece hunting sucks.
Yeah, but better
have your fucking game guide open next to you doing that shit.
Mom, don't make a phone call. I'm on GamePunx. You're on what?
Oh, yeah, GamePunx. Yeah, that's kind of what it was like. I remember when I rented that shit from the fucking video store, and I got to the Triforce shit, and I was like, fuck this, actually.
Yeah.
This sucks big dick. It's bad. But that game is dope. Anyway, hey, those are some games we like from genres we don't. And in one case, a thing we like from games that's done well when that is good when done well in games, but usually is not, so it usually sucks.
That's a mouthful, right? That's the name of the episode.
That was an interesting premise. I hope next time somebody votes for spin-offs, because that's what I was really hoping to talk about.
Oh man, I've got one. It's pretty obvious, but
no, I know what it is.
Probably.
I'm not even gonna get. Don't do it. Don't even have to take a wild guess because I know what it is. So that's gonna be fun to talk about. But
we can tilt the scale next time.
Exactly. But this bonus round will be coming out as soon as we need it to. But in the meantime, of course, we'll always be putting out those regular podcasts. So anyway, until the next bonus round or until the next cast, have yourselves a good everything.
Thanks for listening.